On today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the spring updates we've done to the Harlequin, where I changed the grille and changed the wrap. Well guys, a couple weeks ago, right before the first ever Daytona Enterprise Customer Appreciation Day event, I actually went ahead and made a few changes to the Harlequin. The first change I did, which I will show later in this video, is I actually went ahead and installed a 2024 grille. And the second change is I actually went ahead and changed the wrap. As you can see though guys, it is still multicolored, so I didn't go ahead and do any crazy changes. What I actually went ahead and did is I actually went ahead and changed a few colors of a few of the panels. Before I get into showing you guys what panels we changed and what colors we ended up, I actually want to go ahead and take this opportunity to give a little bit of background about the Harlequin and why it is multicolored. The reason I want to do this is that I do know there are a few new subscribers to the channel that might not know why I have made my Jeep multicolored and the story behind it. And I also know that there are a bunch of people watching this channel that are not subscribers, so this might be the first video they're watching, and I want to give them the full details of why we did what we did. So over a year ago, I actually made the idea, or had the idea, that I wanted to go ahead and vinyl wrap my Jeep. The reason is because my Jeep is actually white underneath, and white is a very common color. And I found that no matter what changes I made to the Jeep, it just didn't really stand out. It just looked like another white Jeep and it wasn't really unique. So I wanted to go ahead and vinyl wrap it to give it a unique look so that it could stand out in a crowd by itself. I also wanted to go ahead and vinyl wrap it because I wanted to build my own vinyl wrapping skills. In the past, I had vinyl wrapped a few parts on the Jeep. I wrapped the dash, I wrapped the grille, and I'd actually gone ahead and vinyl wrapped the top half of a Jeep Compass. But I'd never gone ahead and wrapped a full vehicle. So I wanted to take this opportunity and build my skills and take on the challenge to wrap a full vehicle to see if vehicle wrapping is actually something I want to be doing in the future. So over the spring last year, maybe a little bit in the winter when I had this idea, I was starting to look at different colors that were available and trying to find a color that I wanted to wrap the Jeep. There was a few colors. One of the colors was a matte gray. I thought, oh, let's do matte gray with neon yellow accents. I also thought, maybe even do satin white, but then I was like, well, why would I go satin white if I'm already white? That's not really a big change. I also thought about doing it in neon yellow. So between the three colors that I had there, the gray, the white, and the neon yellow, I was like, okay, well, one of them's got to be the color. But then every time I looked at them, I was like, well, Jeep has a factory paint color that is very similar. So what's the point in doing those colors if my Jeep is just going to end up looking close to the same as what's out there? So I kind of took a step back and sat on the idea. And it wasn't until I was sitting down with a buddy and we were talking about vinyl wraps, and he's a big car guy. He's into BMWs. And we were kind of thinking of some ideas. And one of the ideas we came across was the Harlequin Volkswagen Golf. If you're unfamiliar about what the Harlequin Volkswagen Golf is, it is actually a Golf that Volkswagen made in 1996 that was actually a combination of 4 different colored vehicles. Basically, it had doors from one vehicle that might have been red, and they had bodies that were blue. It was a very unique colorway. It was actually limited edition, and it was so sought after that even today, people are replicating it on newer generation Golfs and Audis. But I had never seen it done on a Jeep. So I was like, okay, well, this is a crazy, crazy idea, and it actually might be worth doing to see how it turns out. And I didn't stop there. I actually ended up taking this idea a little bit further. So instead of having myself design what this Harlequin Volkswagen Golf inspired Jeep was going to look like and choosing what color each panel was going to be, I actually decided that I was going to allow my viewers and my subscribers the opportunity to participate in this project and choose what color each panel is going to be. This process is exactly why the passenger side is a little bit different than the driver's side, because the colors of each panel were actually chosen by the subscribers, and it wasn't designed as a unique look. This was a fun process, and I think it turned out really good, but it did complicate the process and definitely elongated the entire wrapping project. The reason is because for each panel, what I actually had to go ahead and do is announce the panel that we were going to be voting on, run a poll, collect all the votes, then create a separate video where I announce the winning color for that panel, show wrapping it, and then announce the next panels that we're going to be wrapping. I had to do this for every panel. I did pair them together, but it did elongate the entire process. Instead of taking me maybe 2 weeks to wrap the Jeep, it actually ended up taking me 2.5 months. This was definitely a long process because for certain panels, I'd have to take off certain parts, then I would wrap it, put it back together so that I could drive the Jeep, and then take that panel off again, and it was just took a long time. In the end, I'm okay with it. It really did turn out. I'm really happy about the way it went. One little Easter egg that I want to tell you guys I did do as well, and if you ever see the Harlequin in person, you should definitely go around and look for this, is that for each panel, when the winning color was selected, I actually took the names of everybody who voted on that color, entered them into a draw, and one lucky person's name was pulled, and they had the opportunity to have their name put on each of the panels. So on each of the panels, I actually have a little Easter egg where I ghosted in their Instagram names. So you can see here, Esther Supermom was voted on that one. She was picked for this one. We got another name right here. Yeah, it's really cool. If you run around the Jeep, you can see the names on every panel. So guys, you might be wondering, okay, well, if your entire wrapping process was such a great success, why did I make some changes? Well, during the entire project, I actually had 5 colors that you could choose from. I had your blue, your red, your yellow, and your green, and I also had an orange. What happened, which again, not something I chose, it kind of just happened based on the votes, was that we ended up with one single orange panel on the Jeep, and that was on the driver's side rear quarter. Unfortunately for myself, this ended up being an issue with the design. I'm a person of details, and this side always just had a little bit of an issue because there was only one orange panel on the Jeep. Also, once seeing the orange put with the other colors, the orange just didn't really tie together. It was a little too close to the red. It just didn't pop like the passenger side did. There was always just an issue with the driver's side. So I decided that with the spring coming up, that I would actually take the opportunity to kind of change up the design to make the driver's side match, or better match, the passenger side, which I enjoyed a lot more. The only problem with this is that it wasn't a simple color change. I simply couldn't go ahead and just change the orange out, because if I did that, the orange was connected to another color. We would have had a situation where if I replaced it with yellow, it would have been touching another yellow panel. If I went with red, it would have been touching another red, and it just wouldn't carry over the Harlequin Volkswagen Golf design. So what we ended up doing is changing the orange panel to green, as you can see here. And then for the rear door, which was previously green, we ended up changing it to yellow. Overall, guys, I really like how this turned out. For myself, I feel like this is very similar to the other side now, but then also slightly different. I also really like the fact that we removed the 5th orange panel, because that means we now only have a total of 4 colors, which is very similar to the way the Harlequin Volkswagen Golf was designed. The Harlequin Volkswagen Golf only has 4, and now the Harlequin also only has 4. Wrapping these 2 panels was a pain. They are 2 of the more complicated ones. Of course, with the rear quarter, you have to pull off the brake light, the rear fender, the gas cap or cover. You have to lift up the hard top. Then you have all the door jambs here and stuff like that. Then, of course, the door, got to pop off the door, redo the hinges. Overall, it was a complicated process to do this, but It wasn't a bad thing. The reason is because it's spring now. So doing this was actually a good opportunity to warm up my vinyl wrapping skills, because luckily I actually had a few vinyl wrapping projects that I have lined up, and this was a good opportunity to just get my skills refreshed and do this process. So even though it was a lot of work, I definitely think it was worth it. Got me a little warmed up for the season, and it gave the Harlequin the look it needs. So really happy about the way this turned out. I do want to tell you guys that I did end up keeping the Easter egg names on here. I know that these people didn't end up choosing these colors, but because they were picked on the originals, I still kept their names on those panels. So I did put those Easter eggs there just to keep the whole design. I didn't think it made sense to choose someone else's name, and I didn't think it made sense not to have that. So I ended up keeping their name. So now that you guys know what changes we made to the vinyl wrap, we can actually head over to the front of the vehicle and check out the new grille we installed. So the new grille that I installed on the Harlequin is a grille that I honestly never thought I'd be switching over to. The grille is a 2024 inspired Jeep Wrangler grille. The reason I say inspired is because this grille is actually not a factory grille. It is an aftermarket grille that is designed to look exactly like the 2024 factory grills. And from what I can tell, guys, it's pretty much a 2024 grill. There is no real differences. Visually, it looks exactly the same. Maybe there's some material difference and some construction difference, but when you first see it, you honestly can't see the difference. And I have to say, I'm really impressed by the fit and the look. The reason I never thought I'd be switching over to this grille is because when the 2024s came out with this grille, I honestly thought it was a little ugly. I thought the grills looked like the Renegades. I just didn't understand what Jeep was trying to do, why they were trying to make all their Jeeps and vehicles look the same, and I just didn't get it. But recently, the grille that I previously had on it, which was my factory white grille, which was actually wrapped in a satin black material, was actually starting to get a little bit pitted in the vinyl, and I was starting to see some of the white coming through. And I knew at that point I either had to go ahead and pull off the grille and rewrap it, or find a new one to replace it. So I decided that because I didn't really want to spend the time rewrapping that grille, that it was actually time for me to make this switch over to new grills, because the more I see these grills, the more I was starting to fall in love with them. Also, these grills are not just a visual upgrade, they actually have some built-in functionality that I also thought was a good benefit to have on my Jeep. The first one has to do with the ventilation and the vents at the front. So they changed their grills and they actually improved them to improve the amount of airflow that actually gets to the radiator to help keep the vehicle cool. So I really like that. The old grills had blockage here that didn't help with airflow, but now they've made it really open, which helps that airflow. The next thing I really like about the grill is the way they redesigned the fit. So they made it a little bit tighter to the vehicle and changed the gapping below here. The reason they did this is to help make it fit with winches. So with the old grill, it was super tight behind the winch, where the winch was actually touching the grill. And when I took off the old grill, I actually had some marks on the grill, which were caused by the winch. But this new grill is designed to fit around winches, and I have a feeling I'm not gonna run into that issue, and my grill is not gonna get damaged. So I really like that feature. Also, another reason I made the switch over is because these grills have recently become available at the Dona Enterprise, which was super exciting because there's definitely a market of people out there that have the older generation Jeep Wranglers and want to make the switch over to the new grills. And so if you are one of those people, all you have to do is stop in at the Dona Enterprise and we can sell you one of these new grills. These grills actually come in a few finishes. You can get them in a gloss black finish. So this outside piece here is gloss black, or you can get it in a matte black finish. The one thing that's cool about the matte black finish is you actually can go get them factory painted to match the color of your vehicle. So if you want this outside here to be color matched, you can easily take this grille and get it painted. For myself, on the Harlequin, I wanted the matte black finish, so we didn't go ahead and paint it. The only thing I did have to paint is the trim. The trim actually comes in a Rubicon gray. It's the same color that matches all the Rubicon trims. and I didn't want that, so I actually went ahead and painted that so I had to have an all matte black finish. Again, guys, really happy about the way the grill turned out. We are going to show you the install of this, but before I do that, I do want to show you guys one more thing you might notice is these grill lights. So I picked up these grill lights off Amazon, and these are RGB grill lights. So you actually have the option to change the colors of them using a Bluetooth app. So I will show you guys how to use that. But before we do that, what we're gonna go ahead and do is jump back to when I installed this grill and the grill lights, so I can show you guys the steps you need to follow to get this installed.
The grill comes in 6 pieces that we're going to need to assemble. First, you have your main body panel, which is the mesh section. Then we have our lower valance. We have our headlight and vent gray trim section. We also have our main body trim panel. And then the last 3 parts are the exterior main body trim panels that go around the bottom and the sides of the main body. For the grill lights, the kit comes with these simple clip-in LED lights. There is a total of 5 of them for the grill. It also includes a full wiring harness that has quick disconnects for each of the lights and a fuse tap-in on the other end. They also provide you with some wire ties for easy installation. As for the installation, it looks pretty simple. All you have to do is pop off some of the clips for the grill, clip in the lights, connect them to the wiring harness, then go ahead and connect the wiring harness to your F52 cigarette lighter fuse tap-in. The first thing we did was to simply clip the LED lights into the main body grill section. So the next thing I did was, after painting the gray headlight and vent trim panel matte black, I then went ahead and assembled that to the main body. To do this, all you have to simply do is press it onto the main body until you hear it clip into place. For me, this was a little bit challenging, as you can see here, and the main reason is because the part that I just finished painting wasn't technically dry, so I was kind of rushing through it to do it. I did end up using a small tool to kind of help me clip everything into place. Most likely, if you haven't painted this, or at least if you wait till your piece is dry, you probably don't need to use a small tool. But that's what I ended up doing, just so that I could avoid damaging the freshly painted part that wasn't yet dry. Once that part is secured to the main body, the next part is to install the trim panel for the main body. This is once again a simple clip-on installation. All you have to do is line up all the clips into the holes and then press it into place. It's hard to see here because of the camera angle, but once you have that part installed on the front, you're actually going to flip the grill over and then secure it to the main body using these little tabs that they provided. Next is to attach the lower valance. This is done by simply sliding it on to the lower portion of the grill. Once on, the next thing we're going to do is actually attach the long part of the 3-piece outer trim panel. This simply slides into the holes around both the lower valance and the grill. This was a little bit challenging. For some reason, the plastic was slightly off in some places, so I did kind of have to use a tool to help it on. It was a little bit difficult, but eventually I did get it to secure. Then, similar to the last part, once you have this part installed, you're actually going to flip the grill around and secure it using some more tabs so that it doesn't fall off once you've got it in place. Next, we went ahead and installed the outer trim panels on both sides of the grill. This process was pretty much the same as the previous part. All you're going to simply do is slide it onto the grill. Once everything's been slid on and tight, you're then going to secure it with the black tabs on the back side of the grill. After all of the pieces are finally together, the next part was to flip the grill around and secure everything together using the provided screws. This is pretty much just ensuring that everything stays together. It looks like it pretty much connects the headlight and vent trim panel to everything. So you simply just go ahead and screw it all together in all the different locations. The next step was to install the clips to the grill so that the grill can attach to the vehicle. They do provide you with some clips that you could actually use, but unfortunately the clips they provided don't really fit that well into the vehicle. What I suggest is that you actually reuse the factory clips that are on your factory grill. So all you're going to do is simply pop them off and then reinstall them on the new grill, because those are actually going to be able to connect to the vehicle. This is a common problem that happens with a lot of grills. For some reason, the clips they provide just aren't good or don't work. So typically, whenever we do grill installs at the Donut Enterprise, we end up using the factory clips to attach the grills. Then we simply went ahead and installed the grill onto the Jeep. But before we installed the push tabs for the top of the grill, we actually had to go ahead and wire up the grill lights. Once I finished wiring up the lights, I then went ahead and installed the push connections for the top of the grill. The final step to the installation is to install the factory rubber hood seal for the top of the grill. This meant we actually had to go ahead and remove it from the factory grill that we removed from the Jeep. This can be done by simply pulling off this seal, making sure to pull off every single clip, then reassemble the clips to the seal, and then go ahead and install the new seal onto the new grill.
As you can see, installing the grill and the grill lights was actually really easy to do. Hardest part I ran into was dealing with wet paint, but that's mainly due to the fact that I was trying to do this very last minute for the Donut Enterprise Customer Appreciation Day event. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the LED lights, and I'm going to show you guys how to use a Bluetooth app. So the first thing you do is when you come to this page, you get this ring here. On this ring, you actually have the option to choose whatever color you want. It's really customizable. You can move around. You can get to any color you really want for your Jeep. So depending on your accent, you'll definitely be able to find the color you want. You also have a brightness bar here, so I can actually drag this bar to make the brightness go all the way down. Let's do that. I am not sure why anybody would actually want these to be super dim. I have a feeling most people are just going to leave the brightness all the way up. You also have presets here, so you can select the presets and select some of the options they have there. You also have classic looks, amber, white. Some people want to see what the white looks like. The white is a little bit blue. I am not sure how close it is going to be to headlights. This is probably the best you're going to be able to get with RGB, but I have to say it looks pretty good. It's not pure white, that's for sure. But yeah, more presets as well to select from. You also have some other options like style. So you click on style. That is going to give you a list of styles to choose from. And on here, you can actually pick different styles. This is a 7 or 3-color jumping. Here you can change the speed, so you can slow it down. So you can see I've slowed it down and it just swiftly changes. You can also change the brightness. You also have static color presets in here. You also have strobe light effects. Let's turn that up so we get the full strobe light effect. So you get strobe light, purple strobes, yellow strobes. Kind of nice. I really like that they have the presets in here. You have 7 color strobes, so it's just flat flashing colors. You also have blue-red fades, so it's going to fade between blue and red. You also then have a pulsing effect where you can actually have it pulsing based on a certain color. And of course you can change the color so that it's slow, or the speed, so it slows it down. Yeah, lots of features in the style section. You then also have music section where you can actually have it react based on the music you're playing. So say you're playing music in your car, it can actually react to that. It doesn't really work through here, so I'm gonna actually have to just show you what it does with the mic. So I switched to microphone, it's catching up all the microphone, and the lights are flashing based on what I say. So you can see, and then I start talking and it flashes again. Cool feature if you want that. Not sure how much I'll use that. I'll probably just have it on a static thing. So let's just jump to a static color, a static white. Then we have schedule. Schedule actually gives you the ability to set up when you want the lights to turn on and off. Not sure I would use that, but I'm sure some people might want the lights just to turn on at night versus the day. I have mine hooked up to a switch panel, but I'm probably eventually going to just hook it up to my daylight running light, or my running lights, so that they turn on when the vehicle turns on. Yeah, really cool app. Gives you a lot of cool features. I'm really happy about the app and the quality of the lights. What I really liked was I actually went with the tinted version here, so that the grill lights aren't super obvious when they're turned off, but when they're turned on, you can see exactly what you want. So yeah, really happy about this entire grill setup and the new lights with it. Well, now that you know how to install the grill and how the lights function, it's time for me to pretty much wrap this video up by giving you guys my overall thoughts and opinions about the new spring update we done to the Harlequin. For the grill, I have to say, guys, I really like it. I didn't think I liked the 2024 grills, but now that I have an all matte grill on my Jeep, I really like how it looks. The 2024 styling just looks awesome. I think what I didn't like about the 2024s was how they usually like paint match the outside, but in an all matte black finish, I really like the way it turned out. It's an aggressive yet modern look for the Jeep Wrangler, and it's factory style. That's what I like. I never like any of those angry style grills. I like the factory look. So really happy about that. Again, if you're interested in the grill, you can now get them at the Dona Enterprise. So just stop by to get the price. I think the price is going to be around $300 to $350, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So definitely stop by to find out how much it would cost. The lights, I have to say, I really like this edition. As soon as I knew I was getting the 2024 grill, I went online and found these, and I really like them. These lights are something that I wanted on my old grill, but I could never find the ones that fit really well. But these are a simple plug and play, especially because of the way the new grills are designed. All you do is clip them in. This also gives you customization, because what you can do is actually, instead of running all 5, you can actually pull out 2 of them and run 3. All you would have to do is simply pop these out, unplug them, cap up the plug, and then you'd be good to go. I really like them, guys. They're really cool. You can even run 4 of them if you wanted to put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. Yeah, lots of areas you can do. And of course, you can change the color based on the accent you want to run. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about the grill. As for the new wrap, I love the new styling. It is exactly what I wanted. I feel like the Harlequin is now complete, and I can't wait to show it at some upcoming events. One of the most upcoming events I'm going to be attending, or the biggest one, is Wildwood Jeep Invasion. So if you are attending that event and you see the Harlequin, make sure to stop by, check it out, and also shoot the shit with me. I love to chat about Jeep stuff and meet some of my viewers and my subscribers. Yeah, as mentioned, I will put the links below for the lights if you're interested in purchasing them. If you have any questions or comments about anything I have shown in today's video, make sure to post them below and I'll do the best to answer them. As usual, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Keep evolving, and we'll see you guys on the next video.